It's on already? Started?
Yes, it's live.
Okay,
Sorry.
fine. All right. So we're in the period of Sfirat Omer, right? We're counting the Omer. Yeah? So what does it mean we're counting the Omer? It means like this. The day after Pesach, there's a certain korban, a certain sacrifice. It's called the Omer. They go out at the day after Pesach, and they cut down barley, right? And they bring this barley offering into the Beis HaMikdash, wave it around over there in the Beis HaMikdash, put it on the fire, the Kohen takes out, barley offering. So what's the barley offering? What's that about? On the day after Pesach, barley offering. So some will learn together in Rav Kook. Rav Kook has a very interesting explanation of what it's about. What's at least the hint of this in this mitzvah, one of the hints. So he explains like this, that barley is animal food. And so when you talk about a barley offering, you talk about animals do what's natural to them. Animals eat. Barley is animal food. So we also, what happens to us is after Pesach, we became our more natural selves. We connected to who we really are. We became a nation with a certain nature. And our nature is Emuna. That's what Rav Kook explains. That we connected to Emuna. That's what happened after Pesach. So in other words, that's the remez. The things that happened in the Beis HaMikdash, they were very symbolic. Everything is symbolic in the Beis HaMikdash and the Mishkan. Deeply symbolic. And here you have this barley offering representing us returning to our nature. Okay. What do you mean return to our nature? You had, the beginning of Am Yisrael was Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu is called Rosh HaMa'aminim. He's the head of the believers, like the one who was the most excellent in his deep belief in Hashem. And he passed that down to Yitzchak and Yaakov. And gradually, there was the Shvatim, there was all of Am Yisrael. They formed into a nation. And then we formed to a nation, full nation that came from the individuals, the Avot, to a nation through the process of going down into Egypt, the exile of Egypt, and the redemption from Egypt. Yetzias Mitzrayim. We became a nation. And what it means we became a nation is, and we became a nation in this unique way. And so what that means is that we didn't just become a nation like other nations, that they become a nation through like the natural sociological processes. Over a period of time they evolve into a nation. They start out with a family and a tribe, become a nation. Here we became a nation through revealed miracles, through the going out of Egypt, right? And all those things that happened then. So we became a nation which we contained in our national identity, in our national awareness, we had certain qualities. So one of those qualities is Emuna, faith. A nation with faith in it. Deep in the essence of our being, faith. What Avraham Avinu had as an individual, it now transferred into the whole nation. That character became a nation. It became a nation with those qualities. So we're called Maminim, B'nai Maminim. We're the people who have faith, the sons of people of faith. So it's innocence and inheritance. The Jewish people inherited this characteristic of faith. The amazing thing is it's a whole nation now, not just an individual. Individuals you have throughout the world, people with faith. But a nation of faith, that's unique. That's us. It's part of our deeper character. It came to us through the experiences we had, through coming through the Avos and through evolving to the nation the way we did, then we became deeply imbued with this nature of faith. Okay, so when you're counting the Omer, this is what Rav Kook explains. When you're counting the Omer, you're realizing that we now, after Pesach, we experienced the whole process of going out of Egypt in the way we do on a Yom Tov, through the mitzvah. Now we're back into reconnecting to this deeper part of ourselves. We're in our natural state. That's why we bring the barley offering. because we're in the natural state of connecting to our faith, our Emuna. Then you count the Omer, and you're counting from that time. Each day we're working with that faith that we're connected to. We're in an elevated state during this time of year. We're connected to our Emuna. And each day it becomes more, we clarify different aspects of it, we become more connected to it, more we sort it out, we become more aware of it. So we're this process of clarifying our faith. That's the process of preparing for Shavuot, which is now the divine wisdom coming down. We're ready to receive that. That, in a nutshell, is the way Rav Kook describes this spheres of Omer time. So it's very fascinating. We're sorting Emuna faith. It says in Arvit, it says, Kiheim chayenu v'orchimenu. They are our life and the length of our days. Heim chayenu, they are our life and the length of our days. That's talking about the words of Torah. Why are they life? Why is Torah our life? Because we're talking about the Torah which gives us our basic values, our basic faith. As we learn Torah, it connects us to our deeper values. We are optimistic. We are positive. We believe in the potential of ourselves and the world. So we're connected to our faith. When we learn Torah, we're connected to Torah. When we're not connected to Torah, when we get pulled after materialism and negativity, so then what happens is we cease to be alive. Our life, Jewish people, when we're not idealistic, when we're not optimistic, it's hard for us to live. We fall apart as people. When we're connected to our deeper selves, our faith, so then that's when we're alive. So Heim Chayenu, the Torah is our life, meaning to say that it connects us to who we are. This is our essential being. When we're not connected, when the Torah is not helping us connect to ourselves, and we're getting pulled off into different ways of living, so then we don't feel alive. Jewish people can't live like that. We're radical idealists, And when we get pulled away from Torah, we move. So we're still idealists. It's gradually though we're sinking down, and you can't live like that. Okay, so my point is that there are basic, essential selves has this Emuna in his faith. That's at the root of a Jewish person, of the Jewish nation, the whole, and each one of us. Because now the question that I want to address here, and I want to learn from Nachman about this, is what is Emuna? What does that mean? What does it mean to have faith? Okay? Question? Good question. What is faith? What does it mean when the Torah says we are ma'aminim b'nei, we're people of faith, descended from people of faith? What does it mean that we have faith? What does it look like? How does it express itself? Yeah.
I think to me faith seems to be when someone searches for meaning and they believe in that meaning. They don't understand why, but they understand that there's something higher or beyond their comprehension, and they believe in that. They believe this is because of something beyond me.
Fantastic. I like that. Very good. Beautiful. Yeah. They search for meaning. I just want to start with the first phrase you said. That is act of faith, because you assume it's there. It's a positivity. It's a belief that it's over there. You may not understand it fully. Very good. I like what you're saying. Okay, let me tell you something I saw about this. I saw in a Sefer Kodesh, it said there's 5 types of faith. The first type of faith is... wait, let me go back one step. I skipped a step. First, I want to say that all human beings have faith. It's part of being human. Not just Jews, all human beings. Because faith means you believe that things could work out in a basic level. Right? You don't know how they're going to work, maybe. A lot of times you don't know how things are going to work out. We don't know if we'll succeed in a particular thing. We don't know if things will be the way we want them to. But if a person has faith that things will be okay, that things will work out, that things will be successful, what happens is he's able to function. The person that has no faith, he can't function. Everybody believes in something. In other words, if I'm totally discouraged, and I don't think that things are going to work out, I'm convinced that they're not going to work out, or I don't think they're going to work out, or I don't think that things are going to go well. So that's a lack of faith. Then I really can't move. You won't have motivation. You won't have energy. Faith gives us energy and motivation. If I think that things will work out, then I get up and I do them. Yeah, question?
Yeah, no. Before you had asked question, what's faith? And
Yeah.
I had in my head being loyal, also being connected. We've also an English expression, being faithful.
That's faithful.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
that's
connected,
interesting.
being connected also.
Okay, that's a little bit
Connected
different.
To Hashem,
Connected to Hashem.
in this sense.
Okay, so I don't know. That's interesting what you're saying. You're using two English words. One's faith and one's faithful.
It's related.
They're related, right? In Hebrew also, there's Emuna and there's Nachman. But I'd have to think about that. Like exactly what's the connection? But let's stick to the faith in the simple sense. What faith? So I'm saying like this. I'm saying every human being has faith. And if you didn't have faith, you wouldn't get out of bed. You just couldn't be motivated. Then when people are really depressed, then they're lacking faith.
When you get very suspicious, everything people say, I don't trust the weather, man. I don't trust that.
Yeah, that's a lack of faith in people.
Faith, they say because in the fact you don't know nothing. You have no information about nothing. You're reliable on what people say.
Yes. So, for example, you took about the doctors talk about the placebo effect. Even if they give you a sugar pill because they don't know what to do for you, they tell you it's medicine. If you think it's helping you, then actually, if you have faith that it's helping you, then that already gives you a
booster.
A booster, yeah, exactly. So that's how faith is like. Faith is this optimism that things could work out. So everyone has it, but the question is, there's different kinds of faith. There's true faith and there's false faith, or there's less true faith. For example, a lot of people have faith in money. They think if I have money, I'm going to be successful. Things will work out. And so when they have less money, when they think they have it, then they think they need, then they start to get discouraged. Or if they're afraid they're going to lose money or not get the money they want, they'll be very anxious because they put a lot of faith in having money, right? That's a false faith. That's not the source of our success. It's not the main source. I shouldn't say it's completely false. Obviously, that sometimes it'll be a means through which you'll have your success, but that's not the real source of our success. And if there's not money in situations, there will be another way for you to succeed. In other words, so that's a false faith. And there's a lot of things that people put their faith in. They put their faith in being liked by other people. If people like me, that means I'm doing well. If people don't like me, that means I'm not doing well. So those are false beliefs. Those are false kind of faith. But there's something called Emuna, like quote unquote real faith, the essence of faith, true faith. So what is that? So I was starting to say, I saw in a sefer, he said there's 5 types of faith that we talk about as Jews. There could be there's more, but I think this is a very interesting categorization. The top kind is faith in Hashem. You believe in Hashem, He's the source of existence. He created the world. Hashem is the source of things. That's the first thing. That's faith in Hashem, His existence. Second kind of faith is faith in Hashgacha Pratit. Meaning to say, you believe that Hashem is running the world now also, and that He's calling the shots, basically, and that we're in this interactive relationship with Hashem. So that's the second kind of faith. We call that Hashgacha Pratis, which means divine providence. Yeah. Okay, a third kind of faith is faith in the Torah, meaning that we believe that Hashem gave us the Torah. It's from Hashem. It's divine. It's true. It's guiding us. We can depend on it. That's a third kind of faith. A fourth kind of faith is faith in Sadiqim and Chachamim. We believe that there's such a thing as a person, Hashem sends them throughout the generations, people that are on a higher level of closeness to Hashem, closeness to the Torah, and they're Chachamim and Tzaddikim, and we have faith in them as being guides for us. They see things we don't see. They have a clarity, they have a truth, they have a connection to the source, which allows us to trust them. For example, when we learn the Gemara, we have something called Emuna Chachamim. We believe that the sages of the Gemara, everything they said was true. Everything they said was profound and a guide for us. So that's called Emunat Chachamim, faith in the Chachamim, the sages. That's the fourth kind of faith. And the fifth kind of faith is faith in oneself. That a person believes that he has value, that he has divine value, that we have divine souls, that what we do is significant. that Hashem loves us, that we're in a relationship with Hashem. So that's the fifth kind of faith, is faith in oneself. So now when you think about it, you think about going out of Egypt, the whole experience of the miracles of Egypt, the process of coming out of that subjugation and going through the process of going out of Egypt, they all were there. We experienced all of those kind of faith as we came out of Egypt. We saw it. We saw it with our eyes. We saw that Moshe Rabbeinu could tell us what was going to happen, and it happened. We saw that Moshe Rabbeinu could tell us what Hashem wants from us, and it was what he wanted from us. So we had Emunas Chachamim. We saw that Hashem runs the world. He made miracles, we saw that Hashem is behind the world, because that it was revealed. We saw that I missed this. Faith in ourselves. We saw that Hashem chose us. That's what we saw. And he separated us out from the Egyptian. He made us into a nation. So this is what makes us a nation of faith, because we saw it with our eyes. No other nation has this. We have something because of what we experienced that is embedded into our whole personality as a nation, which is these 5 kinds of faith. Okay, good. Now, so let's learn Rav Nachman. So here, this is one of my favorite pieces here. It's about faith, and it touches on a couple of these types of faith. And so let's learn it together. Atzvot himida ra ma'od. Depression. Sadness, you could say, is a very bad quality. It's something you want to avoid. Umasha Adam einu nosei letzaddik. So Reb Nachman says sometimes a person could go find a tzaddik, and he doesn't. He's not motivated to take the trouble to go find a tzaddik. He's embarrassed, or he's whatever he doesn't want to go to find that tzaddik. If a person does like that, hu machmat atzvut uchvedut. That's because of sadness and heaviness. Yeah, okay, so that's the first example of Nachman, because that's an interesting one. It's like things have changed a little bit in our times. Yeah, if you imagine Europe, I would say it's a little bit different now. But in Europe, there were tzaddikim in every town. There were famous Rabbis and famous tzaddikim. You could go to the Chavetz Chaim. You could go to the, you go to the what? The Maharal. The Maharal, yeah. You could go to the Noam Elimelech. You go to these great tzaddikim, and they were you could get to them. You could see them. You could hear them talk. So that was, especially by Hasidim, Rabbi Nachman was Hasidish. So that was something that was very important to do. People did that. And so they connected to the tzaddik. They saw the tzaddik, they heard him. Sometimes they talked to him, they got a bracha from him. So that would be something that a person be very recommended. Could change your whole Judaism and your whole life. So what if a person doesn't do that? So he says that's because something's wrong with their spirit. They lack motivation. He calls it laziness and heaviness. Okay, V'kein, another example. Ma she'enu mitpalo kuroi.
Can you explain what mechamat means?
Nachman means because of. Who because of depression and heaviness. Sadness and heaviness. Also, this said a person doesn't pray properly. Let's say a person has trouble focusing on his prayer, it's hard for him to pray. Hu machmad atzvut va'atzvut. That's also because of sadness and laziness. Hainu, that is, machmad chisaron chesron emuna. And that is, what I mean to say is he's lacking faith. When a person doesn't go to a tzaddik, when a person doesn't pray well, it's because of lack of faith. Because certainly if he had full faith, and he believed that Hashem was standing over him, and Hashem hears each word that comes out of the person's mouth, umazin lekol tfilato, and he listens to the voice of his tefillah, certainly lo hayalo shum atzvut va'atzlut ukvedut. He would not have any sadness or any laziness or any heaviness bitfilato, in his prayer. He would certainly daven correctly, properly. Okay, so this is really interesting. So now, this is something everybody struggles with. Like we try to daven. We try to get into the davening, try to throw ourselves into it, be enthusiastic, focused, feeling, understanding as we speak to Hashem. So here, I find this is very, very interesting sort of insight over here. And you try hard, and you want to get better intention. You want to bring more of yourself into your prayers. You're talking to Hashem. It's like, and he listens to you. He could. It's a very high point in our day, and yet it's difficult to do. So Rav Nachman says it's because you're a little bit heavy. You're a little bit down. You're lacking. And why? Because you're lacking full faith. If you had full faith that Hashem is actually listening to you, that Hashem is involved with each person, that when you talk to Him, He hears what you're saying, that it matters to Hashem your tefillot, so then you would get all excited. You would get all excited. You would go and you would come in with a lot of focus and adrenaline, and it would be much easier to daven. So it's interesting. So we try hard, and we want to know how can we daven better. The answer is we have to work on our faith. There's something that needs a long-term investment over here. It's sort of like, let's say you had a hearing with let's say Bennett, let's say the Prime Minister wanted to hear what you have to say, and he was really interested in you. He thought that you had something important to say. So you would go and you would say, okay, this is what I think, Prime Minister. We need to do this, we need to do that, and you'd be present, I'm just saying, so l'havdil, if you're talking to Hashem and He's listening to you, He cares what you say, so then you would be more present. But we lack that faith, okay? Or a person might lack that faith. There's different levels. So he's describing what I was talking about. He's talking about that inner energy which would come from believing in something. Yeah, when you believe that something is working out, is going to work out, you have energy for it. But we come to davening, we're not sure whether Hashem is listening to us. We're not sure whether it's going to make a difference. So then we have less focus. Okay, now let's go further. Ach ikir bilbo tefillah, hu ba machmat chisaron emuna. But the main confusion in our prayers, our distractedness, comes from a lack of faith. Valkein nofa alav atzuz va'atzvus. Therefore, it falls on him laziness and sadness. Muvabel et tfilato, and that confuses his tefillah, his prayer. Because this that we have, sadness and laziness, that's because of emuna, a lack of faith. A lack of faith. K'mo l'mashal, now explains. Kishmanichin chita ba'aretz tova. Let's say you take a piece of wheat and put it in good soil. Azai hu gadel v'tzomeach yafeh. Then the wheat will grow nicely. It will grow nicely. Ve'eno mazik lo shum ruach v'lo zikim v'raim. Then strong winds and all kinds of weather effects are not going to cause any damage to this plant, because the plant has a healthy environment. It's in a good, strong soil. It's well watered. It has good sun. It's growing up, so the winds blow, and the plant is resilient and strong. Yeah. Okay, so this is a key phrase here. Why is the plant able to withstand the forces of weather and wind? Because it has a force of growth, of flourishing and growth inside it. It has vitality. That's the English word. The force of growth and flourishing and growth. Vitality. Where does it get its vitality from, this plant? From within. It's coming from the soil. It's taking in the nutrients, and it grows up like a plant does with vitality. It's resilient. Has vitality and resilience. Nothing bothers it. All the weather conditions, it holds. But if you put wheat into a poor quality soil, then it rots. Because it lacks inner resilience and strength. So you see that what happens to a plant depends on what's in the plant. Not so much what happens to it. It's built to survive. It's built to flourish. It can handle the winds, can handle the rains, handle the cold and the hot. if it's on good soil and it's getting its inner, it has this strength of flourishing and growth. But when it's on bad soil and doesn't have that inner flourishing and growth forces in it, so then everything knocks it out. A strong wind, a strong rain, a little bit of dryness, a little bit of that. Anything can knock it out because it's not strong. It lacks immunity. It reminds me of the whole COVID world. Like the more strong the immune system, the more you can deal with adversity. And here it's like it's the inner vitality. Here it's not immune; it's a different thing. It's a force of growth. It's related, but yeah. So the Emuna hu b'chinat kocha godol v'kocha tzameach, and Emuna is that same idea. Okay, so that's the main point that Rabbi Nachman is going to bring out here. So Emuna is the thing that gives us our inner strength and inner motivation. Faith gives us inner strength and motivation, and we can withstand all kinds of adversity, and we are motivated, and we're alive, and we have energy that comes from Emuna. The comparison is for the plant it comes from the soil, good healthy soil. For the human being, it comes from faith that things are going to work out, faith that things will go well. So it's very interesting, right? So a human being is like a plant. A plant thrives from good, nourishing soil, sunlight, water, and we thrive from faith, not from food, not from external things. Tzaddik ve'emunah soyecheh. A person lives from his faith. As soon as a person is discouraged, then it's very hard for him to succeed. He tries this, he tries that. He needs to find inner confidence, inner belief. When that's missing, that's the problem. He brings here this is where people get confused about this. Something happens, something goes wrong, something's difficult for a person. Why is it difficult for you? Is it really so difficult, or is it that you don't have the inner resilience, to deal with it? He explains this word a little bit. I'm not going to stop on this too much, but he says, "Kamoshin katav vi omen es Hadassah." He talks about Mordechai nurturing Hadassah, Esther, right? So he came to her as a child. He nurtured her. So the word for nurture is omen. It's from the word Emuna. So we're nurtured by our Emuna. The word Emuna, when we have faith and belief that things will work out, then it's like a person is nurtured. Like you take a child and you give them the things they need and you give them encouragement and love, the proper environment, because the child grows up to be a confident, happy kid, That's nurturing. So the word Emuna and Omein, they're the same thing. Emuna is what nurtures us from within.
Oh, what's Omein?
Omein means nurturing, means raising up a child. It's called Vahi Omen Esadasa. He raised up the child. I'm using the word nurturing. I'm not sure if there might be a better word from that. But I mean, he raised up a child. Like when a child he was an omen. He was.
So David HaMelech say, right? I was like as a child nurtured by
Hashem's guide.
And it connects with Iman and with Emuna.
Nice, right. Very good. Yes, correct. Okay, כשיש לו אמונה, שבחינת כל חגול וכל חנך, אז אין מזיקין לו שום דבר. When a person has emuna, which is this inner vitality and inner resilience, nothing hurts him. He's not afraid of any person or anything. Then he's able to daven with energy, with life. He'll go to find the tzaddik. He's not afraid of things. He's not intimidated. If a person lacks emuna, he'll say, well, it's too hard for me. There's too many impediments here. And maybe the tzaddik isn't interested in speaking to me. Maybe it's too far away. Maybe I can't leave the house. Maybe this and that. I'm not going to leave the house. Or, when I go to daven, then the energy comes to you, the motivation comes, the focus comes. So Emuna is this force of, the source of vitality, the source of motivation. Aval kashesh kisar Emuna, he said that before. When he lacks faith, then he also lacks this strength of growth and flourishing. Therefore, he could rot like the wheat without good soil. Person without faith, he has all these qualities, things coming over him. He feels sad, he feels lazy, he feels heavy, and he's rotting as a person when he lacks faith. And this is the aspect of patience. It also gives you patience. In other words, when you're patient to do the things which you want to do, which are important to you, people lose patience. They want instant gratification. That's because they lack faith. When you think that things are going to work out, when things are going to lead to good results, you have patience to persevere in pursuing them. So this is the aspect of patience. Erech Apayim means patience. This is he's not afraid of things. He doesn't care if nothing's going to take him away from his divine service. If things get in the way, he won't be thrown off course. If he has problems in serving Hashem, whatever they are, if it's from within or from without, it's financial problems, if it's some kind of a personality problem, whatever it is, he's going to overcome them and pursue his service of Hashem because he knows that this is important. That this is going to be, things will work out. This is a good thing. He's positive about the results. Nothing can confuse him. Because he doesn't care about anything. He's on a roll to do something which is really going to work out. It's sort of like, let's say, like businessmen. If they think that a deal is going to make a lot of money, right? So they have all the patience in the world. When they make big real estate deals, they're talking to this one, they're going here, they're doing that. They're, you put a lot into a business deal when you feel it's going to work out and it's going to bring a lot of profit. So you have patience, and you beat people that are rude. You got sick. I don't know what happened. All the things that got in your way. You're not going to give up. You're talking about $1 million coming in, so you're going to do what it takes. And you're a good businessman. You know how it's going to work. You're very confident in making this deal go through, so you'll persevere. So things don't bother you so much. This happens bad. This happens bad. Okay. Someone who doesn't see that, someone's not experienced, doesn't have a confidence that this will work out, so they'll be discouraged. But someone who does, so he'll persevere. He'll have fun. It's okay. I'll take this challenge. I'll take that challenge. He's not easily discouraged. Yeah.
Well, it seems like it's kind of like a circular argument. You're saying that the contractor, this guy in the real estate, he has faith in himself, the fifth one, that he's confident that he can do, and therefore he can be patient, and therefore he can do everything. But the problem was that we were saying that someone who doesn't have faith, basically what you're saying, the solution is have faith.
Yeah.
That doesn't really help me. If I wasn't lacking faith, then I wouldn't have this problem to begin with. So basically, the solution to not having faith is having faith. It doesn't. If I was able to do that, then I wouldn't be in this problem to begin with.
Okay, so that's the point of this Torah. The point of this Torah is to say that really everything depends on this. Like when you lack faith, so then you're going to lack motivation. You're going to lack resilience. You'll get easily discouraged. A lot of things will get in your way. When you get that faith, so get that resilience and that motivation and that energy that you need to deal with it, whatever, to go in the direction you want to go. So what happens if you don't have it? So then Rabbi Nachman is saying, then that's going to be shlav beit. We're going to have to start working on that. Instead of like struggling with all the situation you're in, right, and trying to figure out how to make it work, there's something more fundamental, which is, well, let's empower ourselves to take on the challenges. Why am I so discouraged? You'll say, well, this person is getting my way, and this situation is not for me, and this discourages me. That's not really the problem. The problem is that you're not equipped to deal with it all. You lack that energy you need to take it on. So the first thing is, let's go back to basics. Let's start working on our Emuna. That's what Rabbi Nachman is saying.
Because you can say like all those problems and those things what you try to work on, it's like a black hole try to suck you in, right?
Yeah.
And if you don't make a stop, like, hey, let me change my mind, then you're gonna be sucked. But like being aware of, hey, this may be something good of the situation. It's like, okay, you take it back, you stop. You're not there yet, but at least you're not going in the.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, there's really 2 points here that you're bringing out. One point is that when things are overwhelming, and difficult, and you get discouraged. So if you just settle yourself in the moment, right? So you can find, if you calm yourself down, all the thinking and all the concerns and fears, they're going to like shut you down. So you can step back and get yourself more, like even a little bit of faith in the moment. You're saying,
Oh, yes.
like removing yourself from the overwhelming situation.
Look into good points.
So that's the short run solution.
Mm-hmm.
But Rabbi Nachman is talking about here is more the long term solution. Let me make a separate project of building up my faith, so they won't get so discouraged in the first place. You know what I mean? So I won't be so distracted in the first place. The more you have this faith, the more you're going to come into your involvements and your ambitions with a special energy and resilience. You're going to be like that plant that he's in the ripping winds and he's in the driving rains, and it's just like rolling with all that, because it has the inner life, because it comes from good soil. Same when the person comes and he's empowered with that quality of faith. So then all the things that would discourage him in a different situation don't discourage him anymore. So this is the way that this is like the key to success. It's connecting to resilience, motivation, flourishing, the force of flourishing, which is inside us, which we have to tap into. The problem is not the difficulties out there. The problem is the lack of inner drive, because there's so much that a person could do when it's important to him. So that's the main idea here. It's just going back to basics. It's really fascinating to me. We don't talk about this enough. This is one of the things Rav Kook said. We have to talk about this more. If you learn the whole day, even if you learn Baba Basar, Baba Metzia, Kedushin, Kesubas, you also have to talk about the basic, which is faith. And so that's what Rabbi Nachman is saying also. Rabbi Nachman said in his amazing way, he's saying that let's go back to the basics and learn faith. If we do that, then everything else will get easier. The whole process of whatever you're trying to take on and the challenges involved will become like okay for you. You'll enjoy the challenges. They'll be okay with you because you are seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. You'll see that it's worth it. You feel that. And like you said, like Yossi said, that you may not know how it's going to work, but that doesn't matter. Faith doesn't mean that you know how it's going to work. That's calculation. Faith is that you have a trust that things are going to work out. The things that are important are going to work out, And so that's the 5 kinds of faith we're talking about. That's what gives you that. That if you have faith in the other things, so then that's not as good. We do have other faith in other things as well, and attachments to other things. So then that'll give us a little bit of energy, but then it won't work out, and then we'll distraught, and it's a weak energy. It's weak faith anyway. We know deep down that money is not the solution to all the problems, So you put your faith in that's going to be a very limited solution. But if you have faith in Hashem, faith in Hashem's divine providence, faith in the Torah, faith in the Sadiq, faith in yourself, in your own inability to take things on in your divine mission, so then it's going to be a different thing. Yeah.
That's also what Shlomo HaMelech said, right? Like, don't rely on your own understanding, but trust on Hashem.
Yeah.
And that thing that hints to the money, the things, what you think, the calculations.
I like what you're saying also. A lot of people have put faith in human intelligence also. And that's also not true. That's also not something you put ultimate faith in. You use it, you use everything for good, use money, use intelligence, you have everything. But if you put your faith in that, think that that's some kind of a mystical formula for success, you're wrong. And people do that. That's sort of like idol worship. To think that anything is really a formula for success, absolute success, besides, this relationship we have with Hashem himself, that's not true. Because all of them are faulty and just means to get to the ultimate end. But faith in Hashem, that's the ultimate, that's true. So now the question we could ask now is, so how do you get faith? Right. So that's the next subject. And there's not one answer to that. There's a lot of answers to that. But it's interesting what Rabbi Nachman himself chooses to focus on over here. I want to show you the next part. He chose on a particular thing, surprising. Rabbi Nachman focused on how do you get faith? What's comparable to that soil for the plant? Like when the plant finds its right soil, it flourishes and it finds that vitality where it can withstand challenges. So we also, when we find our right soil, we can get that vitality and that encouragement And that resilience, we can withstand whatever comes our way. And we can persevere in avodas Hashem. So what's the soil of faith? What does that look like? What's our soil? Faith is the soil, but what do you mean? Where is that?
You mean to cultivate it?
It means in the parable that Rabbi Nachman says, just like a plant thrives when it's in the right soil, we thrive when we have faith.
Yes.
So how do you get that? Where does it look like? How do you find that faith? By a plant, it's easy. You just go, you take the plant, you put them in good soil, you buy you buy mulch, you buy with the vitamins, you get the soil, you get the sunlight. That's going to work for a plant. So what do we do to get faith? How do we get it? Tefillah and limud Torah. Why do you say those two things?
Those like the bread and butter of getting I could be wrong.
I think you're right. I wonder why you say that. I think that's two very good examples. Those two things have faith. Why?
The tefillah, you talk about the vitamins and the minerals and the
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Tefillah is it's like filling up gas with a car. Limud Torah is how you fill yourself up with knowledge.
Knowledge?
Yeah, Limud Torah has a lot of knowledge. It gives you everything you need to be a Jew.
Okay. Well, those that's good. You're saying. I think you're right. Those are two like prime ways of getting faith. I think that when you pray, the fact that you're talking to Hashem, that itself brings out your faith. There's something about we use our words in that way, and the person gets pulled after his words. I would say as far as tefillah, I think that starts to bring out your faith, and even there's a power of words. The word dibur, which means words, also means daber, which means it guides us. So with our words, there's such an idea like that, like the words have a divine power. Like it says in Bereshit, it says, "Yipak ba'apav nishmat chaim." Hashem breathed into us a breath of life, and the translation is speech. We have a divine power of speech. When we start to talk, then we get pulled after our speech. We talk to Hashem, it brings us more faith. I think that's correct. Also, the other thing you said, Torah for sure brings out faith. Torah and mitzvot. There's a pasuk like that says, "Kol mitzvosecha Emuna." All of your mitzvahs are Emuna. They bring out Emuna. The words.
Which pasuk of which chapter?
It's Kuf Yud Tet in Tehillim. So the words of Torah bring out our faith because the Torah is filled with faith. Not only because it gives us the information we need. I think that's maybe also an element, but also because when someone is very confident and tells you that something will work out, it could help you. So if it's Hashem Himself, it certainly can. But what Nachman doesn't say is either one of those things right here. He doesn't say that he points to something else. Very interesting what he chooses to talk about in this Torah. So look what Rabbi Nachman says. Where do you get faith from? I skipped some parts here. He's elaborating, but here's towards the end of the Torah. It's a short Torah. But you should know. Erech patience. Patience is the expression of faith. When you have faith, you're patient. Erech Apayim Toloi be'Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Nachman says Eretz Yisrael. This thing of having faith and patience depends on Eretz Yisrael. Ki sham zochin lebechinat erech paim. In Eretz Yisrael, you get patience, he says. Ki Eretz Yisrael hi bechinat Emuna, because Eretz Yisrael is the aspect of Emuna. Eretz Yisrael embodies Emuna. Moshe Katuv shchan Eretz urei Emuna. Like it says in the pasuk in Tehillim, it says, dwell on the land and and graze Emuna. It sounds like, I think it's comparing us like to a sheep, that we graze Emuna. As we live in Eretz Yisrael, it's like we're consuming Emuna somehow. I think it's what it means. But anyways, it's talking about Eretz Yisrael, and it says you get Emuna in Eretz Yisrael. So Emuna is the place of, Eretz Yisrael is the place of Emuna. K'moshe Amru, Rabbeinu l'skon levracha, Kol dar be'Eretz Yisrael, doma k'mi sheyesho Elokah. Whoever lives in Eretz Yisrael as if he has an Elokah, as if he has Hashem. V'nimtza Eretz Yisrael hu b'chinat Emuna. Somehow, when you're Eretz Yisrael, you feel your connection with Hashem. When you're in Chutz La'aretz, it's harder. You're farther away. In a Chutz La'aretz, I'll add a little bit to that. In Chutz La'aretz, you'll see there's a prevailing other kinds of faith. Chutz La'aretz, people have faith in money. They have faith in power, in politics, in all kinds of things. That's part of what's missing in the lands of the nations. In Eretz Yisrael, The natural product is faith. In Eretz Yisrael, by being in Eretz Yisrael, you're connecting to faith. It's a place where the Avot were, where Hashem told them to go. It's a place of faith. So, by the way, I just want to say one little point here on the side also, that I wonder if Rabbi Nachman is taking from the Kuzari. You guys are in Kuzari, right? Mm-hmm. So the Kuzari says something just like this. He says that a Jewish person in Chutz La'aretz is like a plant in the wrong soil.
Oh, yeah, he talks about that.
And he says that the Jewish person is meant to be in Eretz Yisrael. That's the soil where a Jewish person thrives. So I almost think that Rabbi Nachman is building on that parable of the Kuzari, because he's saying that that's faith, not just because Eretz Yisrael, not because it's our country, it's that also, but it's deeper than that. It's Eretz Yisrael embodies faith. So that's why it's the soil which we thrive on. That's what Jews need to. A Jew is, stop here? Oh, okay. That's what he wants. But the Jewish person, that's our deeper nature. Our deeper nature is faith. We got that from being descended from Avinu, from going out of Egypt. We're imbued with faith. That's a Jew. When a Jew gets connected from his faith, he withers. It's not that other people don't have it as well. It's part of being human, but we have it. We have the particular deep faith in Hashem, deep faith in the Torah, which we got from our experiences. We saw that. We saw it. We saw in the 10 plagues. We saw in the splitting of the Red Sea. We saw all these things. We knew it. We know it from our deep subconscious that we have this deep faith. So therefore, when a person connects to his faith, then he thrives. And how do you do that? By coming to Eretz Yisrael. Eretz Yisrael is the place where we were meant to go. Eretz Yisrael is that land, that soil that the plant thrives on. Our soil is faith, which is also Eretz Yisrael. It has a physical manifestation. It's like sort of wild. The plant is all physical. The plant is, you put it on the soil, the right soil, it grows. We're spiritual. You give us faith, we grow. But amazingly, that spiritual component manifests in the physical in Eretz Yisrael. You come here and you connect to faith. Nimsa she'ikra avodat ish elo Israeli zochin al yedei Eretz Yisrael. Turns out that the main Jewish service, avodat Hashem of the Jew, we get in Eretz Yisrael. Shebechinet Emuna. Eretz Yisrael is the place of Emuna. Bechinet erech hapayim. It's a place of patience. You'll now have the patience to pursue divine service. Bechinet koach hagodol v'koach hatzomech. It's the bottom of the first page still. It's in Eretz Yisrael you get resilience and energy. You now get stronger to serve Hashem. It's obvious to say that if you look at what's happened, this is what's happened. It's all moving. All of the Jewish, all Jewish success is moving to Eretz Yisrael. You know what I mean? This is where the Chachamim are. This is where the yeshivas are. This is where the Avodas Hashem is. It's all over here. This is where we're thriving. People said, nah, you can't come. You have to stay in Chutz La'aretz. And what's happening? Mass assimilation. You know what I mean? And here, it's mass flourishing. We have our challenges here also, but you see this in an amazing way. Nobody disagrees with it, and you can't disagree. Even if you live in Chutz La'aretz, you'll send your kids here to pick up on this flourishing that you get by being here. So why does it make us flourish, Eretz Yisrael? Because Eretz Yisrael embodies faith. That's the source of flourishing. When you come to Israel, you stop looking at the things which got in your way. Things stop distracting you so much. You're not worried. You're not afraid. You can only get it through Eretz Yisrael. And listen to this next line. This is really interesting. This is preparation for Yom Shalayim also. Every person should seek from Hashem. She should long for and desire Eretz Yisrael. When you want Eretz Yisrael, that's a good sign. Because in Eretz Yisrael is where you're going to find yourself. So this is also a very interesting line. He says, you should pray that all the tzaddikim should want to come to Eretz Yisrael. So we really have to pray for this now. Like the tzaddikim in Chutz La'aretz, they're not telling everyone to come to Eretz Yisrael. And they're not coming here, the ones that aren't. The leaders. So we have to pray that they should want to come to Eretz Yisrael. That's what Nachman says. Yeah. This takes us away of anger and sadness. Ki kol hakoas ki'ilu oved avodah zorah. Aval Eretz Yisrael hu b'chinas Emuna b'chinas erpaim hefek hakas. Okay, then he says another thing also. I guess we should stop here, yeah? Any more comments before we go? Anything else? Okay, very good. So this is Sfiras Omer. This is where we're holding now. Emuna. We're connecting to our Emuna. We're back to our natural selves. After we've come through Pesach, we're connected to our Emuna. So we have to talk about Emuna. Okay, very good.